better situation to go to Cambodia now because the airline traffic is not very good.
Okay. And you're in Singapore, Kay?
Yes, I am.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Really?
I actually just spoke to Huzia yesterday.
Oh, you did? Okay.
You did?
How is he?
I think he's really good.
Right, good.
Yeah, I think they're fine.
Okay, cool.
Just leave it. Okay, yeah, you're live. We're live now.
Mm-hmm.
Welcome to Penang, Georgetown. We're upstairs from the Blue Room because it's busy and restaurants have opened back in Georgetown. We couldn't find a blue durian, so we had this. And we're upstairs, so it's quite. We have with us Rithy Panh, and I'm sure everybody knows Rithy Panh because he's been to Penang. I think twice, Rithy Panh, yeah?
Yeah,
I think twice.
yeah.
As far as working with us. And then Dain also has been maybe twice or three times working with us in Penang.
3 times, I think.
Yeah, with Drop Fest, with Georgetown Festival, with screening. And then Kheng, you've been here all the time, holding my hand many times. So thank you for joining us today. This is our first session of Uncut. I'm terribly nervous. So I have water and assistants everywhere, you know. Don't laugh, and you're 62 and not used to technology, and you struggle with even camera and sound. So I wanted to ask you all to share, like the last 3 months was very difficult for me, and I've got 3 staff that I kept on, and then they were all very frightened. So was I. We had no projects, no shows. So I felt as it was important to share positive energy. And I wanted to call everybody back and said, hey, can you share with us your stories, where you were, what you're doing, and give us some positive energy that we're not alone in this world with our fear of this COVID and pandemic and not understanding or not knowing what's happening. Yeah. So I'm going to start with Kheng and then follow up with the same questions to Rithy and Dain.
Yeah.
Where have you been this last 3 months? Locked up, holed up, with family or alone? And was it at any time frightening for you?
So I was actually filming in Vancouver, a pilot for the CW channel in the United States. And this was a reboot of the 1970s. I think all of us are old enough here to remember it. A reboot of this 1970s television program called Kung Fu. Of course, they have completely, reimagined it. But it is still based on that 1970s television series. Having a grand old time in Vancouver, really, really gorgeous, filming the pilot. I was in the main cast. I played a mother of the lead. And then this was for Greg Berlanti Productions, and they also do Sabrina, they do Arrow, they do The Flash, and for Warner Media. But very, very quickly, I think I only had 1 more day left of shoot. And there was a mandate from the top, and this was from Warner Media, that they had to close productions. And then they closed up, and very quickly they flew every single person back to wherever it was that they were based at that time. This was done, I would say, within slightly more than 24 hours. And it was a huge crew, you know, and they had to fly people back to England. They had to fly people back to Taiwan, fly people back. You know, I had to go back to LA because I have a base there as well. So I went back to LA, and this was just into the first week of March. And it was just when COVID was kind of on everybody's mind, but not really, because nobody really knew where everything was going. But just like the sort of rain that comes from nowhere that Singaporeans and Malaysians and Cambodians, you know, it just came as a flash. And within 5 days back in LA, something told me, Kheng, just take what you need and book that flight and go back to Singapore. It proved to be a really good decision. I came back to Singapore, and as you know, Singapore has been very, very strict with the regulations with COVID. When I came back to Singapore, and this was March the 21st, at that time, everybody that was flying back only had to stay in their own homes for 14 days. By the time I finished the 14 days, COVID had spread so much that the government immediately said, okay, now we got to have this first circuit breaker where nobody was allowed to go out. Everything was supposed to be locked down. So from 14 days of staying at home and not seeing anybody, not touching anybody, and only seeing my cats and my daughter, okay, I straight away went into another, I think it was supposed to be 1 month, but within 2 weeks of that complete lockdown where the only thing that was open was supermarkets, they extended the circuit breaker for another month. And so, I mean, I hadn't seen or hugged or talked face to face with anybody for such a long time, because even that week when I was in LA, I didn't see anybody because, you know, I live by myself in LA, you know. So last week when Singapore opened up into phase 2 and everything was more or less open, actually it was only yesterday was the first day that I actually saw some of my friends. Well, there's a silver lining to everything that I'm telling you, despite the fact that for me, I have actually been on lockdown for longer than the Singaporeans, you know, that had just experienced a couple of months of circuit breaker. I think circuit breaker really suits me because, Joe, as you know, I love to stay at home. I love to cook. And that's all I did. I just basically went for a walk in the daytime. And that's why you can't really see me in this light, but I am sort of like 2 shades darker. And I would cook. I would, and just
I see online you're cooking and that.
Just cook and think. And the other thing that I have been doing a lot of is helping the artistic community. So one of the things that I did was we were involved with the IMDA, which is, the Media Development Authority of Singapore, to work on safe filming protocols. So Dain, you'd be really interested in this. So 2 actors, myself and Janice, and people from the Singapore Association of Motion Picture Professionals, we came up with this huge paper on safe filming protocols. And it was kind of like the second paper that the industry had put up so that we could go back to filming in a very safe way, because the government had actually sanctioned that filming could start from phase 1, which was, I think that phase 1 was about 3 weeks ago, and nobody was really looking into how do we keep the most vulnerable people, the only people that are asked to take out their masks as opposed to put on their masks, which are the actors. Yeah. Luckily, all over the world, and I'm sure you guys know, all over the world, every single country has been coming up with all their safe filming protocols, from the United States to Australia to Britain and BBC. So we basically sat down, and it was, I must say, highly enjoyable. And we wrote down a beautiful paper that was specific for Singapore. And we held these town halls. And for the first time, and it took a pandemic to do this, we had people from the film community. The first Zoom town hall we had almost broke the limit of 1,000 people. Everybody logged on. They were not allowed to talk because we had to make a presentation. And then after that, they could ask questions through the little, box. Yes.
Maybe we can go
on. Everybody stayed on, and they were like, it was great because I really felt the community. So that's kind of what I've been working on.
Yeah, maybe we'll touch on this later when we talk about the industry itself, for the Cambodian French narrative and Los Angeles and Singapore and then Malaysia. So Rithy, where were you this last 3 months? And where were you cooped up, and were you afraid and couldn't fly back, and family and all that?
So I left Cambodia around the 15th of January to come to Paris to see my family and to finish the post-production of my new film, because it was selected in Berlinale. So I went to show my work at Berlinale, and in the way back to Cambodia, I made a stop in Paris again. I have everything planned until December. You know, my lab in Kyoto, my other lab in Qatar, my new film in preparation in Cambodia. So I have just to stay in Paris for 3 months, and because everything I go too fast, and in 3 months, of course, it's very strange, because it's the first time personally, I have to put myself in isolation. You know, it's very strange. And so at the first month, it's okay. I take it like, you know, virus, you don't know what happened. If you are good in your isolation, you help other people to fight back the virus, etc. And the first month, of course, I cook a lot. I listen to the bird, discover the world again. You know, in Paris, there's no more pollution. You can watch really the sky, heard again the bird singing. And little by little, things go bad and bad because of the, you know what I mean. I think a lot about the form of totalitarianism come back with the precaution of the virus. Many states try to put the hand on what I can say, the very basic freedom, very basic freedom of expression, that is more than filming or more than making a film. And also as the surveillance, you know, the project of surveillance of the people. And I think that it's the COVID bring a new era that we must all be careful about that. But it start by surveillance between ourselves to fight against virus, and it will be later the surveillance simply. And it could be that. So just to be careful about that. And I have also the problem with Opana, the center of Opana, because we have some money by offers service of audiovisual service to the people, shooting or training, etc. And in 1 month, everything is cut. So we have 35% worker to help them. And you know, this kind of crisis for the rich people, they are already rich. Even they lost 50% of their income, it's okay. They can live. The very poor people, they are already poor. So they will try to find the way by fishing in the countryside, you know, something like that. But the not the medium class, but a little bit under medium class, to those who can earn $200 a month, like worker in factory, or $300 a month, they will lose everything, because they live in the city, and they cannot go to find the food in the forest, in the river, etc. And they are very dependent. It's just like a new bomb for our people in the country. So all of this come back to me suddenly, like what can we do as an filmmaker, as you know, the elder people who can provide some idea to the young one, how we can think about film, how we can film about how to showing film, how what is necessity or not necessity anymore for making film, you know. That all this kind of thing come abruptly. For me, it's much more difficult to go out isolation than go in.
Yeah, Rithy, you've always been a people person. I mean, your films about prostitutes, your film about the burnt theater, your film about rice people. It's always about our own people, you know. And for those of you who don't know about the Bopana, please check it out. Kheng and Dain, do we know of any other individual that has set up a film center to help young filmmakers anywhere else in Southeast Asia, other than Bopana?
No. I mean, sorry, not that I know of.
Yeah, it's amazing. One man chooses to come back and help his country. This is why I see you as the biggest sifu in Southeast Asia or in Asia, the Bopana Center. You know? Okay, we move back to Dain because I'm sure they want to hear what you all have to say. Dain, trapped in the house, 18 floors of Nandi. Tell us where you paid for three months.
Oh, well, 3 months, I'm going to compress it. 3 months, I think the lockdown happened. We expected it. we didn't expect it, but I was supposed to shoot in April. But luckily, the production called it off because for various reasons. I think they were not really ready. And I was supposed to shoot back to back. So that created a problem. So for 3 months, all I did was actually really had a lovely time. And I don't think I ever really had that kind of time. You did it. I mean, I did when I was younger, when it was a long time ago. But to have that when there was no stress about deadlines, there was no stress about anything. So that was really lovely. So I spent a lot of time also because I love cooking anyway. And during college years and all that, I always worked in restaurant when I was at university and in college, simply because there's 2 things in restaurant. One, I learned how to cook. I always work in the kitchen.
So there will be a job for you if you ever became not a film director.
So one, and you always watch how the chefs were doing. You're helping them. And so I learned a lot from that. But this time round, I always felt that my repertoire wasn't very wide. So I practiced a lot of different recipes. I really thoroughly enjoyed it. But more importantly, I'd wake up in the morning because Nanda's mountain is on a hill. It's very cool and sometimes really cold weather. And what I noticed was the mornings, she always leave the balcony doors open. The mornings was always the first hum of the city, the first hum and the roar of traffic at the distance. It always set me a kind of anxiety, and I always have to shut the balcony door. But this time, it was total silence. All I heard was birds, and it was so wonderful to have that calmness, to have all those things. Really, Joe, it took me back to a certain time in my life when I was a kid, when I was a teenager growing up. And it really was, I mean, it's nothing really, but in the scale of things, but I really felt like, oh my God, that time. And I was calm and I was not rushing and it was just so enjoyable. That's basically what I was doing and I was enjoying. And I think and I also managed to I'll talk about it later, but if I wanted to, but I got dengue in the middle of this pandemic.
We're going to talk about that.
Yeah, my sister went, in the middle of this damn pandemic, you of course had to go and get something else. So I was hospitalized and that was a very philosophical experience being in hospital because it was filled. They put me, because all the wards were filled. So they put me in the geriatric ward with the people in their 70s and 80s. And that was it, man. I was like, oh my God. I had visualized this I had planned for this. I was like the fear of this, and it really sunk in. Hence, everything changed. And you know, Joe, if you hadn't noticed, I have lost a lot of weight because
I need that. I need that.
because I was there. Yeah. So anyway, that's it.
Okay, it's good. I mean, we just got a quick question from one of the viewers. And any reflective thoughts which changed your perspective of life during the isolation? I think, then you touched it a bit. Rithy mentioned it, that we need to rethink who we are, whether the industry, whatever. And Kheng, you said it. Lockdown, you indulge in thinking, you know, reprocessing your thoughts and all that. What were your reflections or fears while this lockdown, whether you wanted to change or were you still happy doing films, or whether there's anything else that you reflected on?
I think that rather than anything changing, it's more like a reinforcement of many of the thoughts that I was already entertaining. You know me, Joe, I lead a really simple life, you know. I hate to spend money. I like to work, you know. I don't really like to go out. I don't drink. I don't smoke. I'm so boring. And honestly, I was made for lockdown. I think I was made for lockdown. I love to binge television shows. So I would say that it's more like a reinforcement of a simpler life. And I hear you, Dain. I really, really hear you because, you know, I lead such a privileged life in Singapore. But in these last 2 years in Los Angeles, I live in a 1-bedroom in Santa Monica. I do all my own laundry. I know it sounds very spoiled, but it is because I feel that as Singaporeans, I am very spoiled. I'm surrounded by family who are helping me all the time. I've got helpers at home. You know, I've got a car. But at 57, you know, you're living in this 1-bedroom. I cook all my own meals. I'm on my own. I do my own laundry. I clean my own home. And you know what? I loved it. I love it. I love it because it makes me feel my age, but that I am still able to do things. And I think that COVID kind of reinforced that sort of thing, that if you keep things pretty simple and you just take care of your health and you only see the people that make you feel good about the world and are good energy to hang around with, if you have the sort of delight of having a passion, which all of us do, to run into because it just fills our mind and we are just so happy to indulge in it, you know, to keep our minds and hearts and bodies moving. That's all I really needed, you know. Just need to see my daughter, need to see my mom, you know, maybe 2 friends, you know. I really miss you, you know,
Miss
Joe.
you too. I mean, I can't wait to catch up.
Yeah.
But you know, like what Rithy mentioned, I think I felt the same, Rithy. I have 3 young workers working with me. They'll be out of a job, and we decided that no, we're not going to let COVID take us down. We're going to work. So from January until now, we've just been thinking. And what you said about, yeah, it's okay if you're rich because you're covered. But if you are poor and you have no money and you're in different fields, what did you feel? How did the COVID change your perspective of making money or making films for money? You've never, in my eyes, made films for money. Yeah, you could have, but in my eyes, the films were always strong narratives about people that needed attention. So now, did you reflect about this and maybe with new ideas?
I'm very a guy very pessimist, but it's just you know, it's not pessimist about myself, about the everybody think that the COVID maybe bring a new world after COVID. Maybe people have a rise of consciousness about environment, about the how to take care of other people, how to live together, how to share things. I think unfortunately maybe the old word come back and words.
And worse.
And word, because we not hearing the kind of alarm come from the world, come from the small virus that we did not see him, but what it looked like at the beginning. Small thing cannot be visible in the eyes and knock down everything. It's for me, it's a sign that we went too far. We are too far in consuming. We are too far in rise of the economy thing. We think only about economy, not of the quality of life, the quality of sharing, the quality of just simple life. What happened to everybody, include me, that I heard the bird again. Wonderful, but after the day after the first day that the lockdown it only ease, everything go back as usual. Even you remember the first thing that people do when they go out of lockdown is go to shopping.
It looks as if they've never changed. Yeah.
They cannot lock down. Lockdown for them is no more freedom, etc. But the most freedom that people put in their mind is buying things. To be free to go shopping, it's very strange for me, and I think that we have a lot of work to do, and I'm not sure that we are strong enough to not to change the world. It's not our duty. It's not, artists cannot change the world, but also take people back to see clearly what is our situation now regarding to our planet, regarding to environment, about regarding to how a small virus can spread, regarding how people can die not in Cambodia, but in big country like US.
Yes.
You know, how to populism come back, how the internet is also like a danger because it's many fake news, many things, come and go. I don't know how to make clear what is the good information in this 100,000 million of fake news and good news. And it's a very strange time that I like. I feel like I jump back to 25 years, but not for I am for the age of younger, but for the lack of liberty or freedom that we have 25 years ago.
No, it's
That's
true. I
very
mean,
strange.
you think that the alarm of COVID will make you think about humanity, green earth, climate change, human greed. But like you said, I'm not so sure. But I think it has. I think people will change. I mean, I think all 3 or 4 of us. I mean, I certainly have changed. I'm working on a project on sanitary pads because I want to save the world. So I think it has made me think. Then, now I heard from someone that you mentioned just now, dengue and reflection and thinking of life and who are we, what we're doing in films. Tell us a bit about your time, your mindset, your mental state.
I think I would go to what Kang was saying. I'd agree with her, and I think let me say in general, I heard so many people saying things would change, the world would change, my perspective would change, but really, I'm with Rithy. I really don't think many things will change, and it's true. We just went back. We just go back to consuming. That's all we will do. But I think there is an answer to that. And I am, I say we, so forgive me if I'm speaking on behalf of other people may object to this. But the thing is, I go back to Kang also because for me personally, it's not so much that I will change much. I'm going to be very obvious. I'm very honest. I think the shift will be small, but that shift is huge for me. Because all it is there are things in my mind that I have thought of for many years, for a few years. and it has sharpened into focus, and it's sharpened into relief. What I had already been thinking on. And that came about two things. One was COVID, but also because I was hospitalized. And I always thought that if I get really old and infirm, so that changed, I really need to get fit and healthy. I get, no, really, Joe. I mean, I also have friends whose parents who are really infirm and so on and so forth. And for me, I really feel that I don't want to be, I thought about this, I've thought a few years, I don't want to be in a place where people have to look after me. I don't want to be in a place where I'm bedridden and I can't move. All the things I have, I cannot control my muscles. I cannot control the basic things. And then there is no quality of life. Why would I want to continue to live?
Yes.
But of course, we won't go there because, you know, there is no such thing that as euthanasia, whatever. Jokingly, I even thought, I'm going to save money and go to Switzerland because the only place where you can go and check yourself out.
But then we need money. We need to make a lot of money.
A lot of money. You go to Switzerland. Here's some money.
Yeah.
It's there.
And look after me and have nurses, you know?
Yes.
Either that or have nephews and nieces. Can you have a daughter so at least you're safe, you know?
No, I wouldn't even want that. I'm just going to go Switzerland. Here's the money. How much you need? I check myself out. Okay? Period.
And then you leave.
This may sound, I think so, but I can actually, because I feel that I've achieved certain things, I've lived my life. It's not even about achievement. I've lived my life how I wanted to live. I ran away from school. I left home. I did what I wanted to do. No, I ran away from school. The headmaster said, Said, you know, you have to do two things. You know, you either pull up your socks or you leave. Because I haven't been going to school. I've been locked up in my attic room and I was reading profusely. I was reading until 4 or 5 in the morning, wake up at 8, 9 and read again. And so, you know, for me, that was my first start. And I moved out of home. I found a job. So I did everything on my own. So my point, I guess, was I did it the way I wanted to do it. So anyway, even going into film school, I paid for my way there. Even doing things, I did it on my own. So my point is, you know, I have done these things. And so for me, if I was going to be 70, 80, and I can't move, I'm bedridden. And that's where I was hospitalized. There was 5 people in front of me, Joe. I swear, I kid you not. And this sounds a little bit dark or a bit really awful. And they couldn't even string sentences together. They could not even go to the toilet. Everything had to be done in bed. And all they could do was howl. I call them howlers. They howled and screamed. And I was horrified. I'm going, that was my fears was presented to me in front of me. And you know what, Joe, on the second day, one of them was always screaming at the nurses and they could just go, ah, and I felt like, you know what, oh my God, that's how they came into the world. Right?
Yeah, that's just a scary part.
We screamed and and that's how they are before they go out. And on the second day, one of them who was screaming, ah, and the nurse was saying, uncle, it's okay, uncle, and he was still screaming, and suddenly he went screaming, ah, and they went silent. And this nurse was like, uncle, surrender, uncle, like for literally, Joe, 3 to 5 minutes, I'm going, the uncle's gone. Check his pulse, please. The uncle's gone. And I nearly shout, uncle's gone. And then suddenly the nurse was going, uncle. My God, I think, feel his pulse, uncle. And then suddenly she started, and then everyone rushed. And by that time, 5 minutes had passed. And it took another 10 minutes, 5 more minutes before they brought the machine, they brought everything. I'm going like, oh my God, I tried to find that. I couldn't do anything.
It must be quite scary.
But Joe, that was a lesson, Joe. That was like, 5 people, none of them can control any of their body movements. And I'm going like, I don't want to be there. No. That ain't me. That's not going to be me. It could take another 10, 15 to 20 years. That could be me. And then that's it, man.
We have to compare notes.
Yeah. And you know, Joe, hospital food is bad anyway, so could not eat it. This was inedible, and then whatever. And so I started losing weight because I couldn't eat it and I didn't have appetite. And it was only 4 or 5 days, Joe. By the time I left, I'm usually 80 kg. And the doctor said, "Can we weigh you, please?" And I was 74.
Or 6 kgs and not going to a fat farm. That maybe is the best way.
A week later, Joe, I lost another 5. So in total, Joe, I lost 14 kg in the space of 2 weeks. Yeah. Okay. So anyway, that's it. That's my story. I was like,
thank you. Then
I love
we have to
story.
sit down to talk about our OH and pension plan.
Yeah.
I just want to read a comment from Joseph Gonzalez to Ken. You're not boring. What a brilliant actress you are. And somebody else, Michelle Journey, says, this is the best crisis ever. And I think I'll bring this question out. Somebody from Jarong, FINAS is the Film Association of Malaysia, has put out this, we're going to win an Oscar journey. What is the real obstacles right now for Malaysia to win an Oscar? Is it censorship? Is it lack of content? And then you look in parallel of other films in Indonesia and Philippines and Thailand and Cambodia that have won international awards. We'll start this question with Dain because I want you to give a Malaysian perspective of like, what is it? It's the same, it's linked to what Rithy Panh said. Are we making films to make money, to have international glory? Are we making films to say a message? FINAS and the Oscar journey, a little bit about that.
I think, okay, let me, I have to take a few steps back. I think our system has always already been, and as far as the industry is concerned, I think it was forever, for me, always been in the making. There are players out there, the independents, and there are those who make the so-called commercial, and then there's independent. And I think we've always been, and as FINAS, by the way, in case Rithy and Kang don't know, is like the film board. So, and our film board supposed to regulate as well as, in a way, build the ecosystem and help the film industry. And so it's also complicated to answer that question because we had, for the first time before the COVID, for 2 years and a bit, or nearly 3 years, politically, we had a change of government, we had a change of climate within the country. And so that was also quite slow to move in terms of changes. And I really think it was very slow to move. But then now we got a different government. And I think hopefully things will change. And they announced, of course, this became, if you like, the Holy Grail suddenly. It's like the Holy Grail is if we can aim and hit to aim for an Oscar. Because I think, and particularly, I think everyone suddenly, because what happened with
Parasite.
Yeah. And somehow that became the benchmark or the aim. But for me, I think there are many other ways to aim for improvement in the.
Yes.
I'm not denying that that could be an aim, but I think we need to sort out many things first.
Censorship, benchmark change.
Exactly, and we need to sort out so many other things before we can even hope to actually. There's no point if you're going to say, let's do that. Let's say one filmmaker achieved it, or achieve even the 5 finalists. When you're not doing everything else that's on the ground.
Yeah.
When you're not doing everything else at home, which is, let's call it the ecosystem. So those things need to be, it took, come on guys, it took Korea how long? And all these things had to be in place. So it wasn't just policies, but there was the political will to actually implement the policies. There's no point in, what problem we have is that we have policies or half policies or ways of trying to make a policy. But as soon as a government changes, then the policy changes. As soon as another set of people move in, then FINAS, the film board, change again.
There's no
So
continuity, yeah.
There's no continuity, and therefore there's no consistency.
So we could do with a Bopana, you know, seriously. Yeah, to train,
So,
I mean, like we said, pieces of jigsaw in place.
yeah.
Maybe we go to Rithy. Censorship, got the road to benchmarking success of the film industry for Cambodia. What would be your, like, again, maybe it's not the Oscar, maybe the benchmark should be just 20 filmmakers that get shown all over the world rather than one winner. Yeah, I see that happening in Thailand and Philippines and Cambodia, but not in Malaysia. At least in Singapore, you hear every year there's some good films that come out and reach the international circuit. What's Cambodia like?
Right, it's very difficult now because Cambodia is really a small market, very small market. We need the co-production, we need the fund from other side, many country co-production, etc. The last film that made by Kavik Niang, for example, it's I don't know where he is now because of the COVID. Because it was shot last years in not Mali this year. It can be released, but now with the COVID, it's not a good time to release all of this. And what I try to do with Bopana first is I think that I'm agree that we cannot make a choice in one director and put all on this one because it's not a good policy. We need like 100 to 1,000 or dozen of film director, like a river. You know, it's a big wave, you know, of creativity. And among this good film director, maybe 1 or 2, 3 can really go out on the top, go to the top and bring other people and industry with her or him. But it's very difficult, very difficult now. And in the small, we first try to train people to have their own expression, how they can film, can shoot, can produce images by themselves. But the difficulty now is where's the screen? How we can, all theater is locked down, and what is the future of cinema on the screen? And the last 4 months, the streaming like Netflix or other like Mobi, etc. How a lot of people come with them. For $9, $10, you can have Netflix or Mobi or Criterion or many site of streaming, and the screening at the home now is better because of the amelioration, the best quality of the internet and the best quality also of the TV screen and sound. So, and that the COVID period bring people, huge people go to the streaming or VOD or something like that. That we are very fragile in cinema, fragile situation. I still believe in the theater and to watch film together. I still believe on that, but our space is reduced more and more, small space for cinema. Maybe festival can do things, but in terms of commercial dealing film, it's very difficult for cinema today. Yeah. And in the near future, very difficult.
Well, I mean, like you said, I don't think you're that much of a pessimistic. I mean, I'd like to be positive. I'd like to tell you that 2 of our winners for Trop Fest Southeast Asia both came from your Bopana, Ines Sotia and Colin Lai, young filmmakers. And I like the idea of how all Australians always have this camaraderie of bringing their own people there. They always have another scriptwriter, an actor. So every year you see a new Australian name there. No other country brings their own people to Hollywood as great as Australians, I think. So Ken, Singapore has said like, wow, Ilo, 7 Letters, The Apprentice, names that Malaysian film industry feel jealous that, wow, they've gone on out there. What's your take in whether we should worry about going to Hollywood or we should worry about building capacity of young filmmakers?
Um, I'm a firm believer of putting my blinkers on and just looking at what's in front of me, as you know. And, you know, I'm 57 and that's all I've ever done with my life in terms of my work, you know. Um, I think it's very dangerous to work backwards from a very big goal like let's go and get an Academy Award. Because I think ultimately what is underneath a very big goal like that is an ignorance with regards to, like what Dain was saying, all the minute steps it takes to be able to hone your craft. And we are in this beautiful industry where everything is a mystery. It's just a mystery. I don't know what it is, you know. When I act, a lot of times I am not one of those sort of people that can break it down into some sort of a theory as to why I'm able to do this or that or not, you know, whatever. And
Well, thank you.
you know, yeah. So I'm very scared of those sort of big shining goals. Singapore has a lot of them too, you know. And certainly, I do hear of very, very big shiny goals when I'm in LA. But there is a big, big difference, and I'd like to share what that difference is. When I'm in Los Angeles, one of the things that I enjoy the most is the wealth of talent that is around me. That's one. And the attitude towards talent. So a lot of times, let's say, if a big company comes to me and says, like, let's say the IMDA, and I think we certainly have heard of the IMDA going, oh, let's try and get a Singapore film to win a big award, okay? I would really rather them spend all that time and money helping us build an efficient and effective and organized film industry in Singapore. If the film productions in Singapore cannot even give me my script in time for me to really enjoy and learn my lines before I go to film, you know, if they can't even give me the sort of imaging, you know, that will help me in my characterization. If I go on set and there are makeup people who are standing between me and the cameraman and trying to put on makeup when the cameraman, you know, it's actually his time and it's my close-up. And, you know, I mean, I would really rather they concentrate on building a kind of knowledge and respect. I think that's the word for it. The respect of everybody that is working in this industry here in Singapore, you know, and all over the world. And that is something that I really, really enjoy, being in a very mature industry, you know, like in LA or in Vancouver or you know, in a mature industry. But having said that, nothing gives me the sort of love and, you know, when I'm filming a Singapore script with a Singapore production team telling a Singapore story that just sits with me. I mean, nothing beats that feeling, you know.
I agree with you.
Yeah, you know.
I want to apologize because that was not the direction I wanted to go with these chats, but the questions kept coming on pieces of paper from people watching. And I didn't want to go about governments and grants and money and Hollywood and all that. I love what you all said. And to me, between the parallel of the Korean way or the Bopana way, I vote the Bopana way. It's real, it's small, it's organic. I feel like if we all had a Bopana center all over Southeast Asia, we will get there. Do we really want to get there? That's the other thing. I wanted to go back to your next journey post-COVID. We'll go back to Kheng. Kheng, what's happening? You're listed as doing some Magnum and some other things. Let us know what's happening post-COVID.
I think I'm just one of the very, very lucky people. So when I was shooting the pilot for Kung Fu, the people, the executive producers and the creators, they put together what they call a sizzle reel because we had enough footage. And within, I think, about a month, just slightly over a month, we were told that the CW and Warner Media had picked up Kung Fu. So right now they're just trying to sort out the safe filming protocols with Vancouver. And I think they're hoping to fly us all back there in September or October. But I've actually got a flight back to Los Angeles on August the 4th because I have an apartment there. So I just have to sort things out. So I'm just so lucky, you know. And then and I've been doing some very nice work like this here for the Singapore industry, you know, which I feel is just very important. And my heart is always at home. So I need to do that as well. So yeah, I'm just looking forward to going back to Vancouver.
Is there going to be a sequel to Crazy Rich Asian?
You know, there was talk about it. But I think COVID has thrown everything upside down. Also, you know, it's called China Rich Girlfriend, you know, the second book. So as we all know, the US and China are going through their own relationship.
They'll change it. They'll use Singapore.
It's complicated. So we'll see. We'll see. But just put your blinkers on and concentrate on what's in front of you.
Yes, that's true. I agree. Rithy, you mentioned you were working on a film up to December. What's this new film? Or new project?
No, I try to reopen Bopana first. We start to reopen Bopana. And we find a support from foundation to let us to support financially until January, because you know COVID is really cut everything from our income. So for foundation, or we need to mobilize people around Bopana first, because I think that. I'm not director of Bopana anymore. You know, it's a very young team. Yeah, I'm just founder. So my work now is to support them, to call here and there to please support these young people. And so now we reopen again. We start our training with the minority people again. We start shooting, and I will go back. August, September to probably to support the Sophia Chair, the director of Bopana, and because he need really to discuss every day, etc., and also to shoot my new film. I have sometimes very difficult for me to talk about my film because I change idea when I'm filming, you know.
Okay,
so
we have to call you back.
Probably without what's the feeling of this. I think that like the animals take power, something like that. Because the COVID, during the COVID, I have a long conversation with animals and birds, and I think that I will do something with the how the animals come to take power.
Oh, a little. No, thank you for sharing. I always go to Bopana when I'm there because I think it's one of the best inspiring centers for young people. Dain, we talked earlier about you acting in Wira, right? So before you talk about other projects, what was it like? I never knew you were an actor.
Yeah, well, actually, it was a very eye-opening. I mean, for me, any director who's never really thought about it, they should, simply because I think it's nothing like putting yourself in the shoes of the actor. And then you really can see and feel and know what it's like, because it was somebody else's production for me. And that person has a different process from me. And so it was a real learning experience. I personally work differently with actors, but to be under the hand of another director and working that, it was really, really, it was very valuable for me. That's, you know.
Next project, is there a project in the pipeline?
Yes, I have. I mean, like I said, it was on hold during COVID, but now we're starting again. And so I'm very grateful to the people. And this goes back just a little bit, Joe, to answer yourself about the Oscars and all that. And what Kang was saying for me is like, the people don't think about that bright shining star. They just think about, and good people have always thought about what I need to do, what I have to do, what I'm doing, what's in front of me. And, you know, a lot of my friends and the people I know who work really hard, who work really and try to create. And for me, it always comes from the ground. It always comes from the street. It doesn't come from anywhere else. It's hard work, and it's really, that's what it is. And so to answer your question, Joe, yes, I have. I'm very grateful to the people. They stood by us. There's two people, the executive producers and my producer. When we came back and the lockdown was relaxed, they're still on board. They still want to continue. And then the other project, which is not really mine, I'm directing, but it's their production. They're still, and it's funny, I just came out of a meeting yesterday, and then I got a call from the other production that says, we need to talk. And so they're still hanging in there, you know, to work with us. So I'm very grateful. And those are, for me, that's the gem. The people who don't think about anything about it. It's just, let's do the work. Let's get this done. And so I'm very grateful and very lucky. I'm lucky to be in that position.
I think we have like 2 minutes left, so I'll just wrap up. But that was one of the reasons why I invited Larry Harvey and Rithy Panh to Penang wants to do stories, humanity, and what about the arts. I think all three of you come across as you do it because you love it, you do it because you can help someone, you do it because it's meaningful. Yeah, sometimes it's a commercial project, but I've known King best probably, but I love hearing what you all say. Rithy, I would like to work with Bopana. Maybe we could link all the younger films network, non-governmental, and then do a Southeast Asian network.
Great,
and that will help Malaysians a lot actually, because I think we can learn so much from what you've done with Bopana.
So, you know, we are ready. I like this idea very much. We need to find a solution now in intramural of Asian country, and I think that I hope we will produce a new film of Poland.
Oh, wonderful. I mean, you know, I lost a lot of money because I believe in Southeast Asian films. I still believe in it, like you, I'm sure.
No, you don't lose money. You don't lose money.
I did.
It goes to somewhere.
Yes. No, but I'm fine. I still believe in it. So I will reach out to you and people at Bopana to see whether we can continue this discussion, how we can help each other. And I think Malaysians can learn a lot about how Bopana is set up and how you as an individual can step forward to help your country people. Yeah. With that, I want to thank all of you. Would you come back to Penang and maybe try the durian, or work with me again, or just come back to Penang and to the Blue Room and have the cakes or the chicken, whatever, you know?
All of the above, Joe.
Yeah.
All of the above.
Okay, you will come back,
Thank you.
Yeah, definitely.
You.
It was a lovely experience, you know, being out there in Georgetown with you.
Thank you. It's all about Georgetown.
I
mean, I love this place. I was trying to find how do I bring relevance to where I live and what I want people to work with and the plans that I have in the future. I want to involve all of you. Thank you so much. And have a good weekend, yeah? Have a good weekend.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Bye-bye. Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.